I believe, is what many women in the Philippines and even the whole world want to be. We all want to be empowered. And to be the empowered woman, it's not a walk in the park. It's very difficult. So today's theme of it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. Number one goes for us women ourselves, right? I've often said this, that for a woman, it takes a lifetime to know yourself. The woman that you are as a teenager, in your 20s and in your 30s, will be very different from the woman that you are in your 50s. But the one thing we all need to agree on is, for us women, the limitations that essentially hinder us from really living the richest, fullest life that we can is all in our mind. It's what our upbringing has given us. It's what our cultural setting has taught us, that as a woman, we are a certain way. And even if we think that it doesn't play a role in our choices, it really does. So for 2021, I just turned 50. The one thing I would really want is to challenge myself. So if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you, is what I really want is to challenge my own mindsets, my own limitations that I have put there, such as I can't do that, I'm unsure that I can do that, I'm too tired if I do that, or is that what's important to me? Or is that really what I want? Or is that because it's the barometer of success that I've been told? So a lot of self-reflection has to take place so that we are able to think, as a woman, am I living my best life now? Am I living the most empowered way that I can? And that's not easy, because each woman will answer that differently. But I think if we want to be changed, it means that we need to challenge ourselves. And I don't mean become more fit, although for some women it will be, or get a better, more challenging job. For some women it will be, or let's say start your own business. For some women it will be. But you know what it is? The change from the inner woman is, how do you feel when you wake up in the morning and then when you go to sleep at night? Are you fuller, happier? Do you feel your life is more meaningful? Do you feel that even in the everyday things, you're of value? Because sometimes we feel we're only of value based on the position we have, or the post that we have, or the salary that we have. And I'd like to share that with you based on my own personal experience. This year, ABS-CBN shut down. We lost our franchise. Now, COVID is one challenge, but for COVID to happen and ABS-CBN to be shut down, that's a double jeopardy, a double whammy for all of us in the network. COVID was a challenge and problem in itself. Imagine facing COVID and then losing your source of income. Just imagine that. So what happened to me as a woman was this. Being one of the major anchors and news personalities of ABS-CBN, you know that so many thousands in ABS were retrenched, and my heart bleeds for that. I spoke about that in my social media. But ABS-CBN chose to retain me. But for those who were retained, in which I am really grateful for, we had major salary cuts. So my salary cut was almost all of us, maybe more than 60%. Right now, ABS-CBN is running on a guerrilla operation, really with people that can do multi-different work for the company, so to speak. So that quote is so fitting for me. How did it change me? How? Number one, you need to face your spiritual self. I do not believe there is any challenge that you can just take on your own, just facing it in the physical realm. So I started doing, I've been a born-again Christian for a long time, but I would say delinquent. And during the lockdown, I had more time in prayer and devotion. And I felt that centered me. It gave me an unshakable peace wherein I knew on my own, based on my spiritual time with the Lord, and it will be different for everybody listening, it is your own, that whatever I am going through is temporary, and how I react to it is the key. So we often say you can't control circumstances around you, but you can control yourself, your responses to it. But I'm not even talking about a physical outward control, but the control of the inner self. Can you still feel joyful even if things are bad? Can you still feel at peace even if your salary's been cut? Can you still feel secure if you're not earning the same? Can you still feel of value if, like for myself, 2 of my programs were already shut down and off air? And being a TV personality for 27 years, the value, of course, of the self partly came from people knowing us. We were famous. So these were questions I had to face. So the word for me for 2021 was transformation. And it's transformation of the inner self, the inner man. And for me, that's a change. You start with that change. And for every single woman listening right now in the Asia CEO Forum, it's different for you. You had to downsize. You're not earning the same. You had to fire people. Your business had to shut down. But do you still feel that you're less now? Is this the barometer of failure? Is COVID and the circumstances around you going to determine that? Or are you going to say, this is me, and that's all outside of me, and I will redefine what is of value and of worth to me? So that's one. Number 2, the redefinition of what is your role in the company you're in. Many years in a pre-COVID period, it's what can the company do for me? I've been in this company for a long time. I deserve higher pay. Where's my bonus? Why wasn't I promoted and whatnot? The common issues of every single woman in a corporation, right? But now, in a post-COVID world, in a situation like this, in Tagalog, Richard, it's called matira matibay, right? The company will only keep those they feel are of value, can do multiple types of work, is flexible, adaptable, innovative, and can help take us to the next century and after a post-COVID world. Any company you're in will not run the same way. It will no longer be fat. It may not give huge bonuses unless you're in telecoms, right? The only conglomerate that's making money worldwide, telecoms, people are on Zoom, on their phone, whatever. But every other business, what can you bring to the company? So for every woman out there, I challenged myself. Karen, you're not working with the same staff. You don't have a research team. If you're gonna interview people, you're not operating with so many people under you. This is you, and maybe one person. So it's a change of mindset. Again, you saying, look, yes, I was used to that old way, but the world is new. So this is a challenging time. Without you asking for it, COVID has challenged your company, has challenged you to step up to the plate and do more. But before you can do that, it's a change of attitude. The times when we would complain are over. That is over. Now it is this. Am I the warrior of my company? Am I the one that will help them hunt? Am I the one that will bring an asset? Am I this? It's a mindset shift altogether. So the first thing for me is that level of acceptance. Things have changed. When the franchise was removed from us, when we shut down, and the only thing left was Head Start for me, which is on cable, seen by, yes, very important people, decision makers, but a much smaller audience. So I have to adjust and say, look, am I going to think that this is not unimportant? No. I am going to be there for my company. And if they need me to do this, that, I want to work more for no additional pay. And that's what happened. So now I sit in for TV Patrol. And then I was offered The World Tonight when Tina Palma retired recently from the daily grind. But why am I doing that? I could choose to stay home and just not go back to the daily grind just yet. But my husband always tells me this, hon, the company needs people like you now. And that's what also we should say to ourselves. It is not about the additional pay, what can I get out of it? This is the very time of what can I do? How can I build my value? And you're able to build your value by first, number one, being available. Number two, either you're part of the solution or you're part of the problem that complains. Number three, have you made it an effort to improve yourself? Now, for a long time, I resisted social media. And now we know no matter what field you're in, whether you're in banking, you're in retail, let's face it, the digital world is here to stay. So it's the attitude within. I refuse to know this, no more. You need to readjust and add value to yourself so that when the challenge is over, you've been completely changed. You're a new person altogether. And I don't just mean internally, but I also mean in terms of the physical realm, the outside realm of value. You matter. And that's important. And what else? I think it's very difficult to say this, especially to powerful people. But I think we have taken for granted the value of humility. We have there was a time when, kindness was maybe a nice value to have or virtue, but it wasn't a core virtue. And yet we're seeing now in the time of COVID, I saw it in my office as well. We're less people in the office now and everyone has changed, everyone. In a culture in ABS where it was so cutthroat, it was so competitive, it was dog eat dog, kill each other kind being the number one network. Now, I just feel when I enter the office, there's just so much more compassion for each other. There's so much more effort to be kind. And I feel we should not lose that. If there's one thing that's been changed with me, I just used to wake up every day and think of my schedule, wanting to get through the day, get things done, rah, rah, rah. I was just driven, rushing. I don't want to be that person anymore. The person I want to be apart from the inner man that's changed is on the outside. I want people to see that there's a Karen Davila that already is even more kind, more compassionate. And it's not to appear that I'm good, but for me, it is our sense of survival, really in the world, even as a community. And I'm sure you know it, not just in your family, your friends, but in your workplace. You cannot get out of COVID and rise again having the same culture at work. It has to be, frankly, a culture with bosses that are more humble, workers that feel more open, feel more safe and secure to speak to one another. It has to be a workplace where when you open up, you are not immediately judged. So we're seeing that cultural shift. And I saw it in myself as well, just an effort to understand co-workers more. And I think that's really the word is you need to ask yourself this 2021, am I transformed? Have I changed is the simpler question, but have I been transformed? Can people see it in me? Right? And they're supposed to see it. If nobody sees the transformation in you, then have you really changed? Was 2020 just a bad dream, a nightmare wherein you didn't pick up any lessons? And I feel that's the value. And for any empowered woman out there, it is for you to be able to define, to write down, to tell yourself, what do I want? Then you need to be. And these aren't just shallow promises and resolutions. It's not that. It's about you and a post-COVID world, right? So this is what you need to ask yourself. I can't live the same way. I can't be that same person. There's just no way. And so unless we self-reflect, that's the only time that we will embrace, I believe, a fuller life, a life wherein we can even just do what we thought we could never, a life wherein the imagination suddenly can become a reality at the end of the year or next year, a life wherein our mind suddenly is unboxed and we are more open to just accept new things. And for me, that's really the lesson that I want 2020 to leave with us and to come in this year transformed as empowered women.